Hi, I'm Dave Jackson from the schoolofpodcasting.com, and in this video, I want to provide you some facts so that you can make an educated decision. And what I'm going to be talking about is there is a very popular tutorial from 2012, and I've reached out to the authors of that tutorial to say, hey, you need to update this, and I let them know that this video is coming because I consider these people friends of mine that recommend this particular strategy. Now, when it came out in 2012, I didn't think it was great advice then, and now 5 years later, I think it's horrible advice. That is my opinion, but I'm not here to spew my opinion. I want to give you facts, not my opinion, so you can base your decision on something and know exactly what you're getting into. So let me get me off the screen and let me show you what I'm talking about. So the strategy that was put forward in this tutorial said, get a Libsyn account, and then from there you run it into PowerPress, and PowerPress would run it into FeedBurner. The reason for FeedBurner is then if you ever wanted to update your feed later, you could simply change it in FeedBurner. So that way you controlled your feed, and then you would send the FeedBurner feed to iTunes. So there's two different pieces of technology between you and your listener in iTunes. Well, some of you may or may not know that in Libsyn, there is a place that you can redirect your feed to another feed. So anytime you need to update your feed, you don't even need to contact the tech support team. You can do this on your own. So when you have a Libsyn feed, you control it 100%. You can redirect it at any time. Now, the other thing people did with this particular strategy and why they did this is they would add more than one podcast under one Libsyn account, because typically one Libsyn plan has one feed with one set of stats and a bunch of destinations. Now you can have multiple podcasts under one account. Now, what this does is this saves you, I don't know, $15, $20 a month. But it's up to you to now decide, is that worth this? Because here are the negative side effects of that. Number one, your stats are going to get kind of weird, because what if you have one really popular show that gives you a spike, and then the next show you put out isn't very popular? It's going to be very hard to spot trends and really look at your stats. Now, in Libsyn, you can export your stats to an Excel file and do number crunching that way. But the initial look at the graph in Libsyn, it's going to be hard to read exactly what's going on. The other thing that is really bad that's changed over the years is FeedBurner. FeedBurner will actually stall. And what I mean by that is, let's look at this. If FeedBurner isn't working anymore, you can upload an episode to Libsyn. You can put it into PowerPress, but it's never going to make it to iTunes. So you could publish an episode, publish an episode, publish an episode. It's weeks later, you check your podcast in iTunes, and it's not there. Why? Because FeedBurner has quit updating. Now, if that's not enough to make you want to leave FeedBurner, it scrambles. You have information for the podcast, the actual podcast, your show, let's call it that. And then you have information, your description for your episodes. And here is an example. So here's a fact. Here's a podcast. And you'll see there is the description for episode number 27, weekly interviews with Europe's top startup founders. Well, the only problem is that's not really the description for that episode. That is the description for the actual show. And if you look at the other episodes, guess what? They're showing the exact same description. That is the description that goes with the podcast, not the episodes. So it scrambles your descriptions for your episodes, uses the show's description, and it stalls. So those are some things you need to know about FeedBurner moving forward. So the strategy that was put forward in this was you create what's called a file for download in Libsyn. So what that does is you end up with a direct link to the file, and you can give that to, let's say, your email list. Let's say you have a special bonus PDF, and you don't want this to go out to your subscribers in iTunes. This is for special people. Maybe it's a membership site. That is what the file for download only is. It's a file that you don't want to go to iTunes. And so you would upload your file. They would do it in this strategy as a file for download only. You would copy that link and you would put it into WordPress, so that, or PowerPress in this case, which would then update FeedBurner, which then update iTunes. So yes, because you're copying and pasting this file for download direct link, your feed does update. So that's what you get. You get a direct link and your feeds update because you manually copy and paste that in there. Now let's look at the strategy of using the Libsyn feed. When you do that, here you go to content, and instead of clicking on add file for download only, you click on add new episode. And when you do that, you get a direct link to the file, just like you do with file for download only. It is also going to update your RSS feed. So what that's going to do is, again, update iTunes, update Stitcher, update Pocket Cast and Overcast and all the directories that use your RSS feed, just like the file for download only does. But here are the things, the additional things that you get with Libsyn, and these are going to happen automatically. It's going to automatically go to Twitter. You can set that up. You can set it up to go to Facebook, as well as iHeartRadio. You can go to YouTube. It'll actually take your audio file, convert it to video, and post it to YouTube. It'll automatically go to LinkedIn. You can also go to Tumblr. You can go to Blogger. If you want to post it, you can post it to SoundCloud automatically. So you upload one file, and it'll automatically go to these locations in addition to Google Play Music. Now, there are some other locations that it can go to that not everybody uses, but you could have Libsyn create a custom app for you. So you would upload this file, would go all to those destinations, plus update your custom app. If you need a very basic page for a website, you can actually do that with Libsyn. So it would update your podcast page, as well as, and I put an asterisk next to this one, Spotify. Spotify, you can submit your podcast to Spotify through Libsyn, but I will say right now, they're very, very, very selective. So there's a chance you could get in there. We can knock on the door for you, but they are very selective. But again, you could upload your file in one place where before you got a direct link and it would update your feed. Now, instead of having to go to Twitter and Facebook and iHeartRadio and YouTube and LinkedIn and Blogger and SoundCloud and Google, it does all these automatically. In addition, if you have a playlist, I didn't put this in the list, but Libsyn has a player that'll make a playlist. It would automatically update that player. The other thing that's changed since 2012 is Libsyn now has a WordPress plugin. And this is the screen that you would get in WordPress. And you'll see there's a link right here that says post Libsyn episode. So you could go into WordPress, you could type in your subject and your description, click that little link. You'll see there's a button here, upload media. And when you do that, it basically uploads it right to Libsyn. So when you click publish on your episode, you're also creating a episode on Libsyn, as well as creating a post on your website. So the beautiful thing of that is you post it from WordPress and it goes to all those locations. You don't even have to log into Libsyn. That's a big change since 2012. This one saves you a lot more time, I feel, than the other version. Now, the other thing, if you go, oh, well, I've already been doing this for years, now what? Well, what happens is this is typically what it looks like. Your title is the name of your file. And so you need to go into your episodes and change your subject lines. You want to add your description. In some cases, you can copy and paste that from WordPress over there. Be careful with that so you don't bring in extra code. But you need to do this on every episode. And then to add these episodes to your feed, you can go under Destinations, and you'll see your Libsyn Classic feed listed there. And you can click on Select Content and simply add all those episodes back into your feed, because they're not in your feed because you used file for download only. Now, the other thing you need to do is get rid of FeedBurner. So it's just time to blow that out, and there are directions on the Libsyn website how to do that. So we started this video showing you the file for download option that had Libsyn as your media host, through PowerPress, that went through FeedBurner, that went into iTunes. I'm here to say in 2017, with the facts that we've seen, a better solution is to start with Libsyn again and use the Libsyn Classic feed. Now, some other things I haven't mentioned that weren't around in 2012 is not only will the Libsyn Classic feed never have a conflict with a plugin, is as you're putting things into the Libsyn Classic feed, let's say you copied your show notes from Microsoft Word and you pasted them into Libsyn, it would actually flag you and say, hey, wait a minute, that Microsoft Word document had some extra code that could actually stop your feed from validating, and that's causing a problem going to iTunes. So it works to make sure your feed is valid. That also was not available in 2012, and also another reason why you should be using the Libsyn Classic feed. And don't forget, in addition to this setup, you do have the Libsyn WordPress plugin, so you can now create a post and an episode all at the same time and have them go to all of your destinations. Now, I realize I didn't give you all the details on how to move from the old 2012 settings to the 2016. And there's an easy way to get that done. That's to contact the Libsyn support team. Just email them, support@libsyn.com. So again, my goal today was to show you two different strategies and let you make an informed decision. Because in the end, my goal as Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting is to help you podcast not just any old way, but the way with less headaches, with less heartaches, with less nights pounding your head against the wall going, why did I do that? So things have changed since 2012, and I thank you so much for watching this video. Take care.